Hi everyone, Trina Phoenix here. I hope you're having a great day or night wherever you may be. And I'm really loving this material. I hope you guys are enjoying it as well. It's bringing back a lot of memories and a lot of beautiful emotions for me because, like I said, when I found this type of material back in the early 90s, late 80s, it really changed everything in my reality because all of these things that these guys do, I guess because I was so still connected to my spiritual part of myself, I always wondered why we couldn't fly anymore. And I always wondered why we couldn't raise the dead and heal the blind, because somehow inside of me, I knew these things were real. And I couldn't prove them or validate them. And then when I started seeing the ministry healings and the faith healings, and I started seeing the works of like the Ascended Masters, and then I started reading like, the Matrix stuff and quantum physics and, what the bleep do we know? Any of you guys that haven't seen that, that's a really great quick little documentary that's very simple and super easy to grasp on what is quantum physics and how does it work and what is the quantum field. Beautiful, beautiful little movie. It's called What the Bleep Do We Know? And the bleep has got like weird little symbols like what the blank, blank, blank bleep. What the bleep do we know? So great if anybody wanted to know a little bit about quantum physics. It's really good. So we were getting into the purpose of your alchemical experience. What is the purpose? It'll be interesting to see. So here we go. Void is an unfruitful energy. The alchemist must develop a sense of the value of time and space and the opportunity to manipulate both. Freedom is won by quest and conquest, but mainly by the conquest of the finite self. True mastery of the finite comes through the indrawing love, the compelling, almost magnetic heart call of the soul to its own divine source. Only the great inflow of the cosmic light of God can release the soul from the imprisoning shadows of its own human creation. Summon then the purity of purpose, which will make your creative design good. Relentlessly challenge the base elements which arise like hobgoblins to disturb and try the plan you have begun. Then patiently evolve your God design, the purpose of your alchemical experiment. Isn't that amazing? So what he's saying is that you, the human being you, is nothing more than magic. You've created your own golem. That's in essence what we are. We've created our own dolls to come and play in a matrix. Within the matrix, you need the avatar. So your alchemy has produced your avatar. And the alchemy that produced your avatar is the alchemy that can transmute your avatar. So this body changes through chemistry, vibration, sound, and light. So these alchemical processes, they can transmute anything. Anything. I've seen absolute spontaneous healing that was like, there was no way medicine could have done what was done in the body, because they tried everything. I mean, they tried everything for 9 years. There was nothing left. So I've seen these things happen. Many people have witnessed these beautiful healings, and it's profound when you literally see the body rearrange itself on an alchemical process. you're in awe. I mean, you're in awe. This is the only time in my life I've ever really felt what that word meant. Awe is when you see these kinds of miracles, you are so honored to witness it. You're in awe. Oh, and the gratitude that comes, the heart. Oh, wow. It's profound. It's profound. So, awe, that emotion of awe, man, anytime you can resonate with awe, get into that vibration, because this is one of the foundational ways I've seen this alchemy take place is through gratitude and expecting the miracle, like believing it like it's already present, and celebrating in the gratitude and the relief and the healing, that seeing it done part and expecting it, truly waiting for its arrival, that belief. This is the key to all of these beautiful healings that I saw. And it came from within the person who needed the healing. They activated this within them. It was their own power. We helped, but they did it. They did it. Oh, and what a beautiful thing to watch. And, I knew this was possible. And I'd always been asking for confirmation. It's like, because I wanted to know you could do this in real life, because I knew in my mind this was real. So I'm 18 years old, and I got hepatitis B, a blood-borne virus, incurable disease. They told me I'd never be able to have children, because this was back in 1989, 1988. So in 1988, I was diagnosed, and because I turned orange and my eyes turned orange, yellow, I was full jaundice. I mean, I was worse than yellow. Literally turning orange. And a little bit of information for any of you that may not know. One of the first things that happened before I realized I was jaundice was my stools, my bowel movements went white as snow. Pure white. Pure white. Never saw that before. So I was like, whoa, Mom, something's wrong. And then she looked at me and she's like, you're jaundice. I was like, what does that mean? She's like, something's really wrong. I got to get you to the doctor. So they took me, and I had hepatitis, bloodborne. And they were telling me, you're never going to have kids. They're giving me this diagnosis, and they're like telling me all this stuff that I was like, that is not my reality. I want kids. This was like not in my reality. I was like, this is not my plan. I don't want to be on a liver transplant list. I don't want nobody else's liver. I'll die with the one I got. Thank you very much. This was back then. I was already having these. No, I'll keep my own liver and I'll die with it if I have to. But, I was like, no, I'll fix it. I literally was thinking that in my head. Also, telling me this diagnosis. I'm arguing in my own mind. I'm like, oh, no, this is bullshit. I'll find a way through this. I'll fix it. Thank God I had that mindset. But all the asking to show me a miracle, I brought it to my own door in my own body. Got an incurable disease. You just can't make this stuff up. So I leave the doctor's office, and I'm like, I don't like this at all. I'm like, I need to go to another doctor. My mom's like, okay, we'll take you to the herb doc. I was like, okay, let's go see the herb doc. So I go to the herb doc, and I tell him, I says, they told me I got hepatitis B. I'm yellow. My poop is white. I'm like, things are not good. And he looked at me. He goes, you have a really good attitude about this. I says, I know, because I know you can fix me. And he goes, well, there is a chance. He says, you have 3 weeks to throw off these antibodies. He goes, and if you can throw off these antibodies within 3 weeks' time, he goes, you'll literally immunize yourself to the disease. And I was like, as soon as he said that, I was like, I can cure an incurable disease because I can immunize myself to it. I can create antibodies. He's like, yeah, you create antibodies all the time. And as soon as he said that, he goes, you create antibodies all the time. I was like, well, then I already know how. Okay, I can do this. Totally can do this. And this was my mindset. So he gives me a whole box of stuff to bring home, like milk thistle, vitamin C, you know, just a whole laundry list of herbs and drops, and just I had to take stuff like every 15 minutes, you know, going home, doing my little treatment, showed me change my diet, change my eating, go alkaline, gave me a whole list of stuff to do. So I went home, I started doing all this stuff, and I went back to the doctor because I got diagnosed on, I think, a Wednesday or a Thursday. They wanted more blood work to make sure it was correct. So I had to go back on Friday, Thursday or Friday, because they got my blood results back. They said, yes, you definitely do have it. And then I went to the herb doc. It was either on Friday or Saturday. And then I remembered I had to go back to the doctor on Monday because they wanted to do another blood draw again. So I was like, okay. So I went to the doctor, got diagnosis, went to the other doctor. He told me I could fix it, and I liked that better. And then I had to go back to the other doctor on Monday morning. I went back to the other doctor, and they drew my blood, and they called me back on Wednesday, 2 days later, and they were like, you need to come back in for more blood. And I was like, okay. So I said, why? And they were like, well, we need to check something because we think we got a lab error. And I was like, when they said a lab error, my hopes got up real high. I was like, oh, maybe they could see antibodies, you know? And this is what I was thinking in my mind. I was like, oh, a lab error? Oh, they're seeing something they don't like. I was like, oh, that means I'm doing this. I'm doing this. I'm fixing this. So then I go back again. They draw my blood again. And when they were drawing my blood, they said, your reading came back negative. And I was like, well, what does that mean? They go, that means that you don't have it. And I was like, okay, but it's negative? And they were like, yeah, you're throwing off a negative reading. And I was like, well, does that mean I made the antibodies? And they're like, no, that's not possible. That's just not possible. And I was like, oh, you know, and I was like, my doctor told me that I could make the antibodies, and you're telling me it's not possible. I was like, So they draw my blood again. They get back on 2 days again. So they get it back in 2 days, and they're like, no, it's still negative. But we need you to come back in and we want more blood. So they made me go and give my blood 5 big old huge pint tube things, 5 big tube things, every 4 to 6 weeks for the first 3 to 4 months. And then after that, they told me they need me to come back every 6 months, and they would take a bunch more blood for me. So they started taking out my blood like crazy. I wonder if they used my blood for the antibodies for the hepatitis B vaccines, because I was giving them all that blood in the 80s, in the late 80s. So I was giving them a whole bunch of my blood that had all these antibodies that I cured the hepatitis B virus within my own being. So, alchemy, we can do this. We can, and I don't even know if there is a time limit, because I think you might be able to activate antibodies anytime. So I think that we've been told we can't do things that we can, and now we're going to learn what we actually can do. And for what I've seen, you can't imagine what you can do, because I've seen things that there was no way they could do that, and they did it. So yeah, this is why I want you guys to learn this stuff, because it's really beautiful, amazing, powerful, transformative information that can save your life. So, because it saved my life not once, twice. Because then I brought some more to the plate when I was 22. I brought another near-death, fatal situation into my reality with physical stuff. And I went into renal failure on that one. They said I was going to die again. So yeah, that one was a little bit worse. But we got through that one too. So this is why I want to go here, because this stuff it's real. It's real, and you really can change your whole body through your belief. So think the highest thoughts and potentials for yourself, because only you can believe it. And if you believe it, when all three agree, manifest it shall be. So it's a gift. So the true science of the spirit is more exact than the mundane measures can yet determine. Therefore, know thyself as the white stone or elixir from whence all thy creation must proceed in orderly fashion. Wow. If the key ideas are not created from within, thee who art the alchemist, then the whole act is either hapless or an imitation of the work of another. It needs to be your own work. You can't do somebody else's. You got to do your own. You got to do your own magic. You know, you can get ideas from other beings, but you truly create your own. So now, if it be God thou willst imitate, then well done. May truly be spoken of thee. But if the vanity of mankind, then the pettiest, let the consciousness remain. This means that if you're stuck in your man brain, in the man world, the matrix, you'll be creating from the matrix. So, but if you're creating from the true consciousness of God, the God within you, the true self, then you will create with God, and it will be well done. Well done. Yes. So there's a difference in creation from where you grab your creation points. You want to grab it from the heart, from your own inner being. Don't ever get it from outside of you. Because when you use things from outside of you, most times it backfires. Because you don't know how people use that energy to create. And their perspective is different than yours. And their creation points are different than yours. So never use anybody else's stuff. You use your own. Always. Always trust yourself above anybody else. Trust you. Trust you. So the true self of man, from whence cometh every good design, is worthy to be constituted as to what it is desirable to create. Therefore, the true alchemist begins his experiment by communing with himself in order to perceive the inspiring thoughts of the radiant mind of his creator. It is in imitation of lesser qualities and lesser states of consciousness that society has molded many of its erroneous concepts. To correct these concepts, to forge an ennobling culture, to draw the lines of good character, man and society must look to lofty examples. Yes, this is why we have the image of the Master Jesus. He gave us a great example. He was showing us the way. He is the way shower. So let men who would practice alchemy learn first to mirror the great examples of all ages, who have used heaven as their design, and then let them learn to select the best qualities of their lives, so that alchemy can be used as it was divinely intended, as the most noble method of achieving the desires of the heart right here and right now. I strongly suspect that many of my auditors, but few, if any, of the most sincere students are anxious to have imparted to them at once the Philosopher's Stone, or the magical properties that will make them at will a combination of Aladdin and Midas, with a trace of benevolence sprinkled within. Aladdin, the genie in the bottle. Midas, I've got the Midas touch. Everything I touch turns to gold. That's Midas. So, I here declare for those who think thusly, that while I shall impart tremendous knowledge concerning the science of alchemy in the whole of this 9-part study, 9 parts, interesting, Okay. I doubt very much that unless they absorb the secrets of the first lessons with utter humility, allowing me as the instructor the privilege of preparing the teachings as God would have me do, they will not at the very end find themselves wanting. And it will not be the fault of either teaching or teacher. I do not intend to give a lengthy discourse on the vanities of worldly life, but I would like to point out that it is the hope of the Brotherhood in releasing these teachings at this time to avoid our students the mistakes of some of the earlier alchemists, whose sole purpose seemed to be the acquirement of riches and honor and the ability to produce from universal substances the energies to change base metals into gold. Let me hasten to say that not all of the early alchemists confined their goals to temporary gain. Indeed, many Stuart souls pursued alchemy with the same reverence they would have the quest for the Holy Grail, seeing it as divine, art and origin of the Christian mysteries, as well as Christ changed the waters into wine at the marriage in Cana of Galilee. We desire to see the original concepts about alchemy given a new meaning, and we desire to see the meaning it acquired in the mystery schools brought to the fore. For it uses to which this science it is presently put must be translated into a higher dimension, if mankind are to reap the full benefits thereof. So what they're saying is the original concepts of alchemy. We desire to see the meanings that were acquired in the mystery schools. They need to be brought to the forefront. So, for the uses to which these sciences are presently put must be translated into a higher dimension. So the teachings have gone 3D matrix, and we need to get them back from where they originate from, which is the higher dimensions. And those are God-given dimensions, and this is a different layer and level of alchemy because it's coming from creation, because you're literally working with the Creator. You're just literally saying, thy will be done. So if it's in alignment with the Creator, it manifests. It's simple. It's super, super easy because it's in alignment with the Creator. If you are not doing this for your own selfish gain, you will be a channel of miracles because God will deliver them through you, because that God is in you. But whether you can activate it, if you can activate it, you know how to produce alchemy. So this is your key to freedom. It's alchemy. So unless this spiritual science is applied to the feeling of individuals and societies from drudgery, confusion, and compromise, with the densities of human thought, as is our wish, the purpose to which God ordained it will remain unfulfilled. We who pursue the higher calling of the alchemist aspire to see all attain a place where they can both teach and extol the basic purposes of life to the youth of the world as having far greater than mere temporal pleasures, which in reality serve a lesser purpose to a divine alchemist than does a pacifier to a suckling child. Let no one think because I spend this time in introducing the heart of the subject to you that my discussion is not pertinent to the facts at hand. Unless each one understands that he, individually, must exercise his God-given right to use power wisely and lovingly, he cannot help but fall into the pits of self-destruction and rationalization. Now, It is God's plan that everyone on earth pursue the understanding of himself and his destiny. Conceit born of intellectual pride has caused many a sincere student and even a number of worldly masters of one science or another to fall into the traps of their own creations. In many cases, they never even knew where the snare was sprung. Therefore, if any subject be included here, let no one think that he can omit it simply because he may seem to know it already, or because he has considered it before. We place many gems of thought in the most unlikely sentences, which through plain enough of speech can easily seen. Enough of speech and easily seen. May require more than the diligence of even an honest heart's scanning. Like I said, this is really serious work, and the only reason I would suggest to do magic or alchemy in manifestation of your own body is if you need healing. And maybe, to learn how to reconnect with the master that lives within you. Those are great things to aspire to so you can help and heal and teach others. But the main focus of performing alchemy is helping others facilitate their own alchemy. So you help them facilitate their own miracles, and you get to witness them and stand in awe of them. So, unfortunately, sometimes to be one of the teachers of these things, you have to be able to know that you can do it to yourself. So, do it for yourself. And then you can show them and lead the way for others. Because this really, really does happen, guys. I mean, it really does. I've seen it in my own body twice. Saved my life. And I've seen it in others. And the stuff that they did, I didn't know was possible. It was so profound. So, this is really important stuff that we're going into. Okay. Where was I? We placed many gems. Okay. Saint Peter voiced the question, and if the righteous scarcely be saved, where shall the ungodly and the sinner appear? It is well for the would-be alchemist to realize that this is an exact and true science, whose illumination is conferred upon man by God himself. Its purpose is to teach mankind how to obtain for themselves every gracious gift and virtue which their lifestyles might require in finding their way back home to God's heart. I do not say that you cannot learn to materialize every wish of your being. You can. And this aspect of alchemy is for some the easiest part of the whole, while for others it remains to be the most difficult. I do say that the design of those wishes ought to be contemplated more than the wondrous science of bringing them into manifestation from the invisible force. For to create a worthy design is a most noble endeavor, worthy of the God in man, which alone can set him free to fulfill his immortal destiny. We have labored below and waited above for the children of this world to cease the plunder and pillage of war, to cultivate the education of the underprivileged, to relinquish the desire of class distinction, to offer themselves as wood princes of a realm to serve effectively all the needs of their impoverished yet noble kin. We are presently determined to seek out the faithful of all nations and to empower them with the very means by whereby they can individually escape from the self-imposed bondage of the time and obtain their own priceless, timeless inheritance. Naturally, this heritage is neither temporal nor ephemeral. However, when serving in Europe to dispute some of the poverty and confusion so prevalent there, I did use universal alchemy to produce the substance which, although temporary in nature, supplied many humans' needs, and it was both comforting and helpful to the world and to the personal lives of my many beneficiaries. I conceive nothing wrong of the idea, nor do I look with disfavor upon your having a divine source of supply to meet all of your needs. I do feel it is needed for you to keep constantly humble and graceful, as God places within your hands the keys to the control of the natural forces. Again, and second to no idea contained here, is the constant need to understand the universal scheme or plan of creation, so that all you do in your design and all you do will be harmonious with eternal law and cosmic principle. I hope that I shall have neither affrighted nor discouraged any of the students of alchemy from pursuing this marvelous divine study. I am, however, now free to proceed with more relish, for I have magnified the eternal manifest principle of the immortal intelligence of God, which some call inspiration, while others call it simply the mind of God. Whatever men may call this quality, and its possession that counts on the whole 9 points of the law. There's 9 points to this law, and there's 9 parts to this book. Therefore, love the emanation of the divine wisdom contained herein, which, like the sunlight shimmering through the trees, touches with its fingers of light all through which it passes. For only by love can you truly possess. I am the resurrection and the life of cosmic purpose within you. In the name of freedom, I remain Saint Germain. It was funny, back in the 90s, when I was coming into this information, I went to a church called Unity. It's a very spiritual church, and I'd never been there before, and I wanted to see what it was all about. And they had a gift store there, and I purchased this pendant, and it says, I am. So, I've been studying the I am principles and concepts for many years now. And like I said, to me, it was some of the most beautiful information I had ever come into contact with. So that's why I want to share it with you guys. Because like I said, my whole life I was told, you came here to be like Jesus. And that is this work. It's alchemy. It's something that we all can participate in because we all have God within us. So this is how I know I'm going to get to see some of y'all walk on water. And we might all be doing it together as one group. And when they see us, they'll believe that they can too. And it'll change the world that fast. So, I've seen people do this. Seen them walk on fire. I've seen amazing things. And I'm ready to see them again. I want to see more. And I want to see it with you. So I love you. See you on the next one. We will be starting chapter 3, The Sacred Science. That will be next. So much love to you all. Have a blessed day. BLEST. Because you are the best.